Hey, what's going on, folks? This is Dimitri back again in the car. Wanted to start sharing with you about Apple events that will happen on I think September 14th. So I'm a little bit late to the party, but nonetheless, just wanted to give my thoughts on what's going on there, what astonished me, what you need to know about things that happen there, and all that good stuff. So to start with, we're gonna jump right into the topic. So there was like the iPhone 3 right at the end, which is really interesting where they put the presentation of it. It was really interesting concept there, because definitely it's not video analyzing video, but it's just my thoughts on the whole process and the whole presentation. So overall presentation of the YouTube video, that was amazing. So the problem with, there's no problem with it, there's just amazing presentation all over the place. So how they did the presentation, there were a few that I didn't like, and those were about photo camera and cinema mode, which is gonna get a little bit later. But overall it was a little bit I thought a little bit janky how they did the initial one, and there was the second one. So they covered multiple topics in multiple ways, and it was like first wave wasn't really good, and then another one was pretty good. So that's overall my idea on the technology side of things, how they did the presentation part of it, right? But overall, so if we go from topic to topic, they introduced what really struck me was Apple Fitness. And the thing that they discovered there or go for is that definitely just a regular home fitness industry, honestly. Because think about it, if you go with the watches and everything, it kind of makes sense. So they have the data, and based on that data they see, okay, people doing that, they're interested in that, so they go after that market and basically just conquer it overall and try to get in touch with it. My thoughts on that: yes, okay, it is a good market. I don't know the numbers and specifics there, but this is interesting to see it from the technology company. Like as myself, I work in IT and stuff like that. I more or less exposed to the idea of technology, what's going on, computers and all that jazz. So if you see, in a general sense, if you see how people or how companies, like technology companies in general, they usually go after technology markets. Like let's say Microsoft, right? They took the Office 365 or whatever, I don't know. So it's Windows, so they started with Windows, they went with that, they grabbed the Office, they grabbed that software, which they integrated into the Windows environment really heavily. Although it's a separate software, they still sell it as a separate package, but it's integrated in a way that companies really like to utilize it. So they really compatible with laws and regulations. So for example, let's say HIPAA, and there's it's a US based law that needs to be followed and implemented, that basically the privacy and all that jazz. So how it handles, so gets handled. So overall they really went after that market, and then they went to the cloud again. So there's like Azure DevOps and stuff, and Microsoft Azure, all that jazz. This is interesting. They still were in the Office technology environment, so to speak, right? Amazon, yeah, we know Amazon, they basically conquered the cloud world, or going after it like really heavily. So they provided the cloud space, all that environment there and all that jazz. And then Google as well, of course, they kind of were late to the party as well, but they are starting going after the cloud environment as well. They a little bit touched on computers, on the Chromebooks and stuff, and then they went after the technology market as well on the cloud. So overall, you still see the same pattern, right? And then there comes Apple. So, and what I like about Apple is that they completely shifted, although they still went with the technology part of it. They started with the technology, sorry, and then they went and grabbed all the necessary necessities. I guess there's a compilation there, but then after that they decided to go after the market that really, it takes advantage of the technology, but it's still kind of way a little bit off. And due to that, this is breaking a barrier, and so to speak. And for me, it was really essential how they did a pretty lengthy presentation on that part. So I will link down below the video that I looked at and watched that and stuff like that. The official Apple presentation, I will link it down below. But still, nonetheless, this is interesting to see how they went after the market that not really office related or IT related. Well, it's related to IT, but it's not super tied. Okay, it's just another industry, let's say that. To be honest, that's made is that, and there's all over the place. They pretty much tied up with IT. So let's just skip that. So nonetheless, this is really astonished me on the iPhone event and about the presentation itself. So there are few other ones. So I like the idea about the watches, how they get a little bit bigger screen, and a lot of new software and gadgets. But honestly, all together they go really after AI part of it. So they more like less learning experience and going after like neural engine, as they will keep mentioning that, which is, I think, is a buzzword in terms of that. But to be honest, if you think about it, it's kind of a little bit scary, to be honest, because they really get your information, they learn how you think, how you do things and stuff like that. So it's a little bit on that side. I don't want to put zero doubts or anything in your but overall, this is interesting concept that they're going for, right? So after that, we will go and let's discuss the Apple, or just iPhone in general. So that one really struck me confusing on the presentation part of it. So they started going after two things there, really, and in that sense, they decided, hey, let's do this. Let's do iPhone and iPhone Pro, and then let's give two versions to each. So basically, overall, they have in stock, or not in stock, but in their arsenal, 4 different versions of an iPhone 13, right? And that was confusing part of it. So the first I see iPhone is 2 cameras. I was like, come on now. Like, we went through three cameras, and now we're back to the 2 cameras. What's going on? And then they went again and then said, hey, you know what? Let's do and present iPhone Pro, right? So this is interesting. And of course, they put so many astonishing, like they have A15 chip, all that jazz, which is pretty fast, amazing, good deal. Like, I think that some of those iPhones now, they even faster than a computer, to be honest with you. So this is incredible. This is incredible. So, but the real question for me as a end user and a regular user, I don't really go into much, heavy usage or like expensive whatever graphics building or anything on the iPhone. I'm just a regular user, right, as well. And when I see how the process in general works and stuff, and see what is important to me is the battery, right? Is the battery, how long it lives, how long I can talk to folks, and how long I can understand, see, and work on the phone, really, in general. So they kept it in so they keep saying all day battery, all day battery, all day battery. But in reality, is it really well, first of all, is it all day battery? And then second of all, how is this, like, I really like the idea of how they keep the battery in, or like learning battery usage. I really like how they switched gears, and instead of like, hey, let's put bigger battery in the case or bigger battery in the phone, to give the people, hey, you know what, so let's learn how they use the phone, or let's learn how they utilize it, and based on that we will either spin up the processes or just, you know, lower them because of the usage, and that will extend the battery life. Makes sense, totally. Love the idea. It's kind of going to a different direction a little bit, and this is also one of the approaches that like they took, I guess, for the cloud, but I don't know, to be honest, because like in the cloud you utilize per use, you pay for the per usage and stuff like that, and then it just automatically can be spin up, but that's different topic. Nonetheless, it's really interesting idea on that, on the battery part of it, so which I really like. So this is one of the important part, and then the second part is that where I struck me as a video creator and YouTuber really, is when they set up, hey, there's a cinematic mode. So the part that I didn't like, and I mentioned that earlier, a little bit janky and stuff. So the first presentation that they went through, the focus mode, how it switched, it was a little bit weird. It was too fast. It was a little bit strange in the part of how they set up whole jazz. So they, I mean, it was like regular presentation. They didn't really go to setting the sets and setting the set and all that. But presentation of this, the focus part, out of focus part, was a little bit strange when I looked at it first. And the second part, when they introduced that in, I think, iPhone Pro or iPhone Pro Max, they did a very, I think, better job in terms of presentation of autofocus and cinematic mode. Because, well, I don't know if it's due to the fact that they brought the people in, like, you know, award-winning or Oscar-winning person there, or they took more time and they just did a better presentation of it. So it was really interesting to see how it was a little bit different. You see how it's different. It's really noticeable because it's first it was really fast and then abrupt focus. Like, hey, I switched that. It was really fast. So as a viewer, it was a little bit not a best experience. Which was really astonishing sometimes. Like when I see that, I was like, Apple, come on now, you guys going after the class and the, you know, aesthetics and all that jazz, which is awesome, and I love it, and I greatly appreciate that. But sometimes that part of it was a little bit off. But again, they picked up the ball again, and they started to better present. So they presented it in a better way, and I understood it in a better sense as what it's capable of. So, and that's one of those main reasons. So overall, there's nothing really much there. They introduced iPad mini, so they really, the hardware part of how it looks like is the same as the iPhone they went for. It's not round angle edges as they had it, not that much round, but they went a little bit back. And my thoughts on that is they I grabbed iPhone 7 or 6, no, not 7, but the 6 or 5, I think it was like that edges there that really, they wasn't really round. So nonetheless, they kind of combine these two ideas. But overall, it's pretty much the same idea. Like as a customer, like for example, as a normal customer there, I didn't really notice any much of a difference there. So overall, the presentation part was awesome, technology was awesome, the speed of the part of that is that there. So overall, yeah, I hope you guys like that video. But overall, in general, the key from this video, the key part to take to this video is that, hey, they got a new iPhone, better a little bit cameras there, and then neural engine all across the board, all across the devices, to learn about the habits and stuff what folks do and how to preserve the batteries and stuff like that. So Apple Fitness, of course, and fitness and cinematic mode. So that's all there is to it. So I hope you guys liked the video. Like and subscribe. So it was Dmitry with you all. See you next time. Hope you guys enjoy.